is brought to you by Head Start Basketball.
I understand what the game of basketball can do for you. I understand firsthand what basketball can take you away from. So, man, it's a beautiful game. If you're good to the game, man, the game will be good to you.
Nick Williams is heading into his first season as a men's basketball assistant coach at McNeese State University. Williams spent the previous 3 seasons as an assistant at the University of Southern Mississippi from 2022 to 2025. Before joining the staff at Southern Miss, he worked for 3 seasons at Northwest Mississippi Community College. Prior to Northwest, Williams spent the 2017-18 and 2018-19 seasons as a graduate assistant at Ole Miss under head coaches Andy Kennedy and Kermit Davis. Williams began his coaching career while playing 2 seasons professionally overseas in Brazil and Canada, and coaching high school basketball in his hometown of Mobile, Alabama, at Mattie T. Blount and LeFlore high schools. A former standout shooting guard, Williams played his college ball at Indiana from 2008 to 2009, before closing out his final 3 seasons at Ole Miss from 2010 to 2013. Williams averaged 8.9 points, 4.5 rebounds, and led Indiana in free throw percentage in 29 starts as a freshman. He'd go on to help the Rebels to 70 combined wins, 3 straight postseason berths, and as a senior, he was instrumental in helping Ole Miss reach the NCAA tournament, claim an SEC tournament title, and win the most games in a single season in school history. Hey, Hoopheads, our friends at Dr. Dish Basketball are here to help you transform your team's training this offseason with exclusive offers of up to $4,000 off their Rebel Plus, All-Star Plus, and CT Plus shooting machines. Unsure about your budget? Dr. Dish offers schools-only buy now, pay later payment plans to make getting new equipment easier than ever. Learn more at drdishbasketball.com and follow their incredible content at Dr. Dish B-Ball on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Mention the Hoopheads podcast and save an extra $300 on the Dr. Dish Rebel, All-Star, and CT models. Those are some great deals, Hoopheads. Get your Dr. Dish shooting machine today.
Hi, this is David Vogel, men's basketball assistant coach at Ohio Wesleyan University, and you're listening to the Hoopheads podcast.
Your first impression is everything when applying for a new coaching job. A professional coaching portfolio is the tool that highlights your coaching achievements and philosophies, and most of all, helps separate you and your abilities from the other applicants. The Coaching Portfolio Guide is an instructional membership-based website that helps you develop a personalized portfolio. Each section of the Portfolio Guide provides detailed instructions on how to organize your portfolio in a professional manner. The guide also provides sample documents for each section of your portfolio that you can copy, modify, and add to your personal portfolio. As a Hoopheads Pod listener, you can get your Coaching Portfolio Guide for just $25. Visit coachingportfolioguide.com/hoopheads to learn more. Grab pen and paper before you listen to this quick-hitting episode with Nick Williams, men's basketball assistant coach at McNeese State University.
Hello and welcome to the Hoopheads podcast. It's Mike Klinzing here without my co-host Jason Sunkel this morning, but I am pleased to be joined by Nick Williams, men's basketball assistant coach at McNeese State. Nick, welcome to the Hoopheads pod.
Mike, man, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely excited to have you on. Looking forward to diving into your career in basketball. Let's start by going back in time to when you were a kid. Tell me a little bit about some of your first experiences with the game, how you fell in love with it.
Man, actually, I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't start playing basketball until, 7th grade. So I'm from Mobile, Alabama. So football, baseball is usually your the sports you play. So I didn't get it. Like I said, I didn't get into basketball until later. I was about maybe 11, 12 years old. So man, it was I don't know how I fell in love with it. But it just happened, and then just one day I just started to work at it, and eventually got better, and kind of the rest is kind of history.
What did that work at it look like for you in terms of, are you playing pickup? Are you going out and working by yourself? Are you working with a trainer? What's your process for getting better?
Oh no, man, I'm an old cat, so we ain't really had trainers back in the day. So it was just outside, man, blacktop, playing at the park. Got a hoop for Christmas one year, and, it kind of went from there. Like I said, I'm from Mobile, so It's very humid in the summer, so we deal with a lot of hurricanes. So a lot of times, my hoop got blew over, and the rim was bent, kind of like what I'm saying, kind of like at the fair. You feel me? So that's kind of how I perfected my jump shot, shooting on a bent rim, in the driveway. So just a lot of hooping, man. A lot of games of 1-on-1, 21, just a bunch of just pickup basketball.
When you tell the guys you coach now the way that you grew up in the game and playing outdoors, and hearing you even say we played 21, now you tell kids, hey man, let's play some 21, and they look at you like you got four heads. They have no idea what that game. They have no idea what
Right.
that game even is. And I mean, I'm like you. Like I grew up on the playground and just playing and pick up and driving around trying to find games. And as you well know, that culture doesn't exist necessarily in the same way. Tell me a little bit about the transition for you from playing to coaching. Obviously, you have a really good college career, play a season at Indiana, play 3 seasons at Ole Miss, go overseas and have some experiences there. But talk a little bit about just your thought process in terms of getting to coaching as a profession. Was that something that you were always thinking about while you were playing? Or was that something that once you got done and you looked around, you're like, man, I got to figure out a way to stay in the game? I don't know if either one of those paths resonates with you.
Crazy thing about it, man, I did not want to coach. Like playing with some of the guys I played with, I was like, there's no way I'm getting into coaching because I can't, dog. Like, and I was team captain at Ole Miss, 2 to 3 years I was there. So basically, I was coaching then, and that was like, no, there's no way. But as I kind of finished my career playing, in college, and I went overseas for a couple years. Body started to break down, and I'm looking around. I'm like, man, so what am I going to do now? Am I going to be working these odd jobs, or doing manual labor? Nothing against that, but like, what do I want to do with my life? So I took a year off trying to find my way. Basketball didn't work out. Dealt with some injuries, so I had to figure out what I was going to do. Good thing, one of my assistant coaches when I was in high school was a head coach in my hometown. Moved back to my hometown, started volunteering, started working guys out. Kind of like, okay, good at this, you know what I'm saying? So kind of started, got on his staff and decided, hey, look, man, I feel like, I'm pretty good at this. I can make a living. Let's go back to grad school. So I went to grad school. My head coach at Ole Miss was still at Ole Miss when I wanted to go back to grad school. So I went back to grad school for 2 years. Did that, got started building myself up as becoming a young coach and all that type of stuff. Learned a lot of great lessons. That went into being a junior college coach for 3 years. And then, like I said, went to Southern Miss for 3 years, and now I'm at McNeese. So yeah, I kind of like fell into it, man. I kind of fell into it. Didn't really understand what I was getting into. Didn't have a clue as to what I was doing. But man, people, couple mentors of mine just told me like, man, you got a gift. You got a gift at, being able to talk to these kids, being able to help them. And as a player, man, I wasn't the most athletic or nothing like that. What I feel like made me who I was my intellect, my skill, and you get that through hard work and studying. You don't, it's some guys out there that just roll out of bed and just are freaks, and they just got God's gift of being able to handle it and shoot it. Me, I had to work for mine. So I feel like that's that's what that's why teaching and being around the game and helping guys, I feel like came so natural to me because the only way I was going to be successful as a basketball player was I had to work and I had to study. So being like that, being in my mind and that just being ingrained in me, like I just got so much on the inside of me that I just got to get out. And it's, basketball was the path that I took.
So when you get back into coaching at the college level and you come back and you're working in the program where you played, and as you said, you're kind of looking at it going, man, there's a lot of things that I didn't realize went on behind the scenes with coaching. What was the most surprising part when you got into the program as a graduate assistant? What surprised you about the coaching profession that when you were a player, you didn't really realize?
Man, the biggest thing, like people just think, man, all y'all get to do is coach basketball. Oh, y'all just sit up and like when I tell you, that's the least amount of like effort and time, like where our time is spent. Like our time is spent in so many other areas, man. One of the guys getting to class, he's not in trouble. Did he do his work? Is he eating right? Is he getting sleep? Like basketball is the easy part. Like basketball, like at least when we're at practice, they're all there. You got your eyes on them, all that type of stuff. That's the easy part. It's like raising kids, man. When they're babies, you think about how tough it is, but then when they grow up, you're like, dang, man, I wish they were babies again. Like, I can't keep, you know what I'm saying? So, like, having them on the court and in practice is, the easy part, man. So, yeah, man, when I got really into coaching in college, like, you just realize that there's so much other stuff that goes on outside of the court, man. Like, I tell people all the time, this is not an easy job, man. This is an easy job. I tell you that.
Yeah, there is a perception, right, when you're playing that the coaches roll into practice at, if your practice is at 3, they're rolling in at 2:30 and get the balls out, and then they're going home at 6:30. I know when I was a player, that was definitely my perception of kind of what it looked like. And I know sometimes I'd see them in the meeting and, in the office between classes, whatever. And,
Right.
you just don't really have a perception of what really goes on when you're playing. What's your favorite part on court wise? What do you love to do? What gets you energized when you're out on the floor with guys? What do you like to teach? What's your favorite part of being on the floor with them?
Man, skill development, number one. I just love to see the growth, man. I love to see. I'm a guy that like patient, man. Like I had to learn a lot of patience in this profession, and just fell in love with just being patient, man. And I just love to see the growth from the start of the summer when guys get there to the end of the season or just the beginning of the preseason, just to see how much progress guys have made in their game, the leadership aspect of it, holding guys accountable, just being able to rub off on these guys. I think that's the thing that I cherish the most. And what kind of gets me going in practice, man, is just like competition, dog. Being competing, man, defense, man, like seeing guys guard, seeing guys talk to each other, man, and like I love like confrontation on the court. Not like fighting and nothing like that, but I love toughness and you're not scoring on me or I'm about to go get a bucket and there's nothing you can do about it. Like I love that like back and forth camaraderie and competition that, you can only get in sports, you know what I'm saying? So that's what gets me going every morning. That's what gets me ready just, when I lay my head down and I just thinking about the next day of just, man, we get to go at it tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, competition, dog, competition, man, and just bumping every day.
What's the best way in your mind when you think about like designing a practice or the types of drills or things that you like to do in practice? What's the key to making sure that your team is competitive with one another and yet still locked in together with the kind of camaraderie that you got to have in order to put together a team that competes together on the floor? So obviously they got to get after each other in practice in order to improve and get better and create that. But then you also need everybody still together when it comes time for the game. So what's your thought on how do you do that? What does that look like?
I think number one, you just got to start with everything being a competition. Whether every drill being a competition, every sprint being a competition. And the only way that can be a standard is you got to have, I don't necessarily say, well, you got to have consequences for not winning. You got to have repercussions for not doing your best. And the only way you're going to be able to reach that mark or push yourself is, hey, dog, if you don't win or if you don't reach this threshold, then there's something behind that. And I think that's number one when you're setting a standard, just letting guys know that there's a consequence to not being the best. And then number two, I think the mark of, being able to have competition, but also have camaraderie and good teamwork and, what I'm saying, stuff like that is just having a great head coach, having a great coaching staff that, what I'm saying, sets the tone. Like, hey, we're going to get after it. But look, when it's time for us to, come together and do those type of things, we got to be together. And I think that's a direct reflection of your head coach. And Coach Armstrong is that. He's a guy who's super intellectual, has no problem with explaining himself. And I don't mean you just got to be a hole and try to show up the coach or just need an answer for everything. That's not that, but he's somebody that he has no problem with. Hey, dog, you got an answer? I mean, you got a question to ask. I have no problem with answering it on the court or you coming up and let's talk and stuff like that or explaining myself. So I think that starts with your head coach, man, being able to set the tone competitively, but also set the tone as far as, we're going to be a team and the only way we'll be able to reach our goal, we got to do it together.
All right, build on that answer in terms of what attracted you to the job at McNeese. And then here in the first, 90 days that you've been there, how's it going? What's the role? Just how's it been unique to some of your other spots?
What attracted me, obviously, was, like I said, Coach Armstrong. He was assistant coach at Ole Miss when I played. Me and him, built a good bond. You know how it is, man. Players are more connected to the assistant coaches, especially at this level. I heard some back in the day that said, assistants coach the players while the head coach coaches the team. And I firmly believe that. Like I had a really, really good, relationship, mentee relationship with Coach Armstrong. And we've definitely stayed in touch and connected, built our relationship over the years. We've got a, 15-year relationship now. And it's always, I've leaned on him, in the toughest times. He's somebody that I can always call. And that makes recruiting so much easier because I'm not, when I speak to these kids about the type of person and coach he is, it's coming from experience. It's not cookie cutter. It's nothing that I just had to make up in my mind. These are real life experiences that I get to speak from. So it's so easy to be able to talk to parents and kids and coaches about him because I'm speaking from a place of, when I was at my lowest point, when I wasn't playing anymore, when I had deaths in the family, when people were sick and when I didn't have any money and when I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was able to call him and just say, man, hey, what do I do? Like, what can you tell me? How can you help me? Like, or you're just somebody that just listened to me, man, and, was there for me in the toughest time when my mom got sick or, when people left me and stuff like that. So, in that transition now to being an assistant coach here, under him, whether that's day to day, whether that's, operation stuff or, going out and meeting people in the community or just recruiting, working guys out. It makes it so much easier because he's built a atmosphere to where you can be yourself, man. He's not standing over you, but he expects you to do your job, and it makes it so much easier to come in and give your all each and every day for a guy who is going to have your back, who's not going to berate you. He's going to hold you accountable, but he's not one of those guys who's going to curse you out and try to embarrass you and stuff like that. So, man, it just makes it, everything so much, sweeter because you're working for a guy who genuinely cares about you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Final question before I got to wrap it up. When you think about the next year or two, and obviously you're in a new position, what do you see as being your biggest challenge? And then the second part of the question is when you think about what you get to do every day, based on our conversation, right? You didn't know for your entire life. You weren't one of those kids that was drawing up plays on a napkin at age 8, thinking, hey, someday I'm going to be a coach. So what brings you the most joy about coaching? So your biggest challenge and then your biggest joy.
Our biggest challenge, man, is complacency. I think, just being able to get up every day and just try to be better than you were the previous day. It gets hard, man. It gets hard, man. Your body starts to hurt, especially when you get older, and, challenges of winning and losing each and every day. But, man, that love for it makes it, makes it easier to get up. And I think that kind of leads into my other answer, like just seeing these young men grow, man, especially from some of the backgrounds that they come from, similar to mine. We grew up single parent household, kind of village raised me with my aunts and my grandmother. So I understand it, man. I think that's what drew me, closer to it because I understand what the game of basketball can do for you. I understand firsthand what basketball can take you away from. Man, it's a beautiful game. And, man, if you're good to the game, man, the game will be good to you.
That is really well said. I could not echo that anymore. I feel like everything that I have in my life somehow traces back to basketball. I mean, there's no question about that. Before we get out, Nick, I want to give you a chance. Share how people can connect with you, email, social media, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then after you do that, I'll jump back in and wrap things up.
Oh, man. Anybody, man, want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Twitter, man, at Nick Williams, NICKWMS 20_. You'll see me pop right up, man. And anytime anybody have questions, you can reach out whenever. And, I'll try my best to get back with you.
Perfect. Nick, can I thank you enough for taking the time out of your schedule this morning to jump on and join us? Really appreciate it. And to everyone out there, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on our next episode. Thanks.
High school and middle school basketball program directors, listen closely. Coaches are expected to do far more than just coach. You know this. It doesn't matter if you're doing the coaching yourself or you have a full staff of coaches with you. You know very well that coaches handle scheduling, academic issues, parent communication, leadership development, and even mental health concerns for athletes. A lot to deal with. And when coaches are stretched too thin, it impacts the development of athletes, team morale, and the overall success of the program. There are several ways to prevent you or your coaches from feeling overwhelmed. However, I'll tell you one of our favorite ways to keep coaches firing on all cylinders, and that's athlete-driven accountability and organization. Instead of coaches constantly reminding players about assignments, grades, and practice schedules, the programs at Playmaker Planner put the responsibility back on the athletes. By tracking their own academics, goals, and commitments, student athletes become more self-sufficient, which of course allows the coach to focus on what they love doing most, coaching. Let's find out if the programs from Playmaker Planner can be a complement to what you're already doing. Visit playmakerplanner.com/stop-is-this-for-you to find out more.
Thanks for listening to the Hoop Heads podcast, presented by Head Start Basketball.